What's good, guys? It's Sam here, and I wanted to go over some YouTube results. Today is March 4th of 2019, but before I do that, make sure you press that subscribe button and that little bell notification button. Now, with that being said, let's get into the video. To give you some context, when I started YouTube with my brother, that was like 5 or 6 years ago, and I knew that it was capable of creating a living from YouTube. However, I didn't have the vision in mind, and I know the cliche is work on creating that vision and create very vivid clarity around that vision. And I didn't really understand what that meant. So over the last 6 years or so, I would make, a couple videos, and then I wouldn't make some for several months, and then I'd make some, and then I wouldn't make some, and then on and on and on. And the end of October of 2018 was coming around. I just sold my business in Florida and moved to Massachusetts, and I'm working in financial services. I've been there for about a month and a half. I'm still, learning tremendous amounts every single day. Try to get up to speed with everything that's going on. And I'm like, and also keep this in context of the my life over the last 10 years has been in upstate New York to Hawaii, Hawaii to New York City back to Hawaii, Hawaii to Florida, Florida to Massachusetts. It's been all over the map, and new opportunities everywhere I look. And I was thinking about how I would create the exact life that I want, doing everything that I want, how I want, where I want, spending time with who I want to spend time with, and whatnot. And because I've done a lot of really cool things over the years, and I also travel a lot. I just got back from Costa Rica, and I believe that was the 14th country I've been in. Not saying that to brag by any means. It's that I always had this idea in my mind that there was more, and I wanted to create the life where I could do whatever I wanted to do, and perpetually making progress on those steps allows me to travel, because I understand that that's important to me, right? So the end of October, right? I'm laying in bed, and I'm probably smoking, and I have a pen, right, with a vaporizer in there, and I'm just probably power smoking right before bed. Generally speaking, I'll if I do smoke, it'll be right before bed. It's been a couple months now, but if I do smoke, it's right before bed, and or at the gym if I go to the gym late. I like to do that when I go to the gym, and I'm getting really fucking high, and I'm thinking about that, right? I'm not like doing anything else. I'm just thinking about how do I want to create the life that I want to live. Like, what would I do? And then I started to think about, well, I think I would probably travel even more. Like last year in 2018, I took 12 trips, right? Like maybe 3 international trips and then 9 domestic trips, like to a different state or a different part of the state or whatever the case is, vacations. And I was like, I'd probably do even more of that. And then I was like, well, do I want to do traveling every couple days or week or so? And I don't want to do that necessarily. I prefer to do a much longer trip, which takes away the traveling portion of it, in the plane and actually getting to where you're going. And that could be an adventure too, but I would prefer to maybe extend the travel time. So I'm like, well, where would I want to go? Where do I want to live? And I was like, maybe I'll go back to Hawaii, because Hawaii is stunningly beautiful if you've never been there before. And I was just thinking about that, but I don't think I'd want to spend all my time in Hawaii. I would travel. So then I was like, maybe I'll spend like 6 months in Hawaii and then 6 months traveling. And now that vision is travel perpetually, and over the course of probably a few months or years, hitting many, many more countries, but deciding on a few places for a home base, right? And that home base, I would probably spend, a number of months, like 1 to 3 or 4 months, but have multiple home bases around the world in areas and countries that I enjoy spending time, right? Like I'm in Massachusetts right now. It's snowing outside. Snow is okay, but it's not necessarily my favorite. So maybe in wintertime in the Northeast, I would spend it somewhere else, in a warm area, and not necessarily here in the United States. More than likely, a lot of that time would be spent abroad. And doing that gave me the clarity and the vivid details around a vision to use that as I'm always doing things, but there was more commitment to creating an income source online. That was at the end of October of 2018. Now, it's been 4 months and a few days right now, and I wanted to go over some of those results of consistently putting in the work every single day. So some interesting things have happened over the first 2 months or so. It was just like non-stop growth. So that's one of the reasons that I make these videos, to show that it is possible. Like I see other people do it. I know it's possible. Even if so, since basically the first, second, or week of January, it's been just stagnant. I haven't really seen any growth. It's just been straight. I'll show you what I mean here. So this is the number of views, the total number of views over the last 12 months. And as you can see, it was basically nothing, right? Because I said I wasn't consistent. And then this is when I started, right? At the end of October. This is right here, the end of October is when I started. And you can see just crazy growth. From here, which is around the, right around here. Let's see, where is it? This is so maybe it was the third week of January. I'm on a 30-day rolling scale right now. But basically since mid-January, it's been stagnant. It's just been straight across. So it hasn't been perpetually going up. And I put a significant amount of time into this over the last 4 months, like every day putting out videos. If you take a look at the channel, and I'm going to show you another thing, the amount of content that I put out is, and bear in mind, right, like the production quality of these videos is not crazy, right? Like I get that, but it's like the gym in my mind, where I'm going to go to the gym to create the physique that I want, and it's going to take time. Like I'm going to go to the gym, and if you don't go to the gym, right, like you've never been, and you're going to squat, right, and you're not going to have any idea how to do it, and you're not going to squat any weight, which just doesn't really matter, but you're not going to get the results you want. But it's that repetition of doing it over and over and over again with the mindset to progressively improve and learn and get better, and taking that approach to life, right? So that's the approach that I'm going at this with. And the objective is, so at the end of October, right, as I'm fucking laying in bed high as fuck, like lights are off, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, Sam, you're a fucking rock star, like just going at it. That's when I created my plan. But before I created that plan, I was like, how long do I want to take doing this job, right? Like my job's easy. It pays pretty well. I like the people I work with. But when you consider the amount of time, right? Like I maybe work, 45 hours a week. Okay. 45 hours a week, but then there's driving time. So I moved as close as possible to work. Not as close, but I moved very close. It's 2.5 minutes away. So 5 minutes a day roughly of driving. But then there's the preparation time, right? Like I wear a suit to work. So I have to do laundry for my suits, right? And you're like, well, you have to do laundry anyway. But I wouldn't be doing laundry for my suit, my shirts, like if I'm steaming them or something like that. Steaming is just the same thing as ironing, basically, for those of you who don't know. And your tie and everything else. Like any time where I'm not at work and I spend any mental energy or thoughts thinking about it is taking away from, you know what I mean? It's associated with work. And is my compensation high enough to warrant that amount of time? In my opinion, no. So the minimum amount that I need on a monthly basis, like the minimum burn rate, like how I could sustain myself, not at any type of extravagant level, but just sustain myself, would be about $2,000 a month. So I said, why not shoot for $1,500? No, just kidding. Why not shoot for $3,000, right? $100 a day. Because there's going to be taxes and other things, and this way you build in a buffer. So I said $100 a day. And then I picked a time frame. Well, the job's pretty fucking easy. I like the people I work with, so why not put myself at the end of March 2020? And remember, this is at the end of October 2018. And that was, 70-something weeks. And I thought, based on what I had researched and already known from doing a little bit of YouTube, was that I needed about 1 million minutes watched. Based on around a $2 CPM, I could get to around $2,000 from YouTube. And you might be thinking, like, Sam, you just said fucking $3,000, and now you're saying $2,000. This is correct. Because I also have an understanding of how life actually plays out, and that as this journey continues, and for example, if I'm getting to 1 million minutes watched on a monthly basis or 250,000 on a weekly basis, I know that there's other things that are ancillary to this, which are also going to create some source of income, right? So whether that's Amazon affiliates, whether that's coaching, whether that's some other type of business I haven't even thought of yet, other things come along, and those other things can easily make up that, $2,000 to $3,000 gap in $100 a day objective. So that was the framework, that was the plan and the vision, and the next step in there was creating my outline. So 1 million minutes watched on a monthly basis means about 250,000 on a weekly basis. So 250,000 at the end of March 2020. The other thing was, at the end of March 2020, then I will have had my bonus for the 6 months ending on December 31st, 2019. So that way I was like, oh, that was the reason, the thought process behind putting it at the end of March in 2020. Just FYI. So hopefully somebody in the company watches this. Cheers. And I know where it's going, right? And then you just saw the numbers, like you knew where I was, very low in the month of October for views. And so if you know the two endpoints, right, and you know that time frame, then you can extrapolate what the growth rate, like the internal growth rate, needs to be in order to achieve this at this time based on a linear growth rate. And so that's what I did, and I put those together. So the objective, right, 250,000 at the end of March 2020, and this is on a weekly basis, and this is the minutes watched, not the views. Minutes are more important, in my opinion. Well, that's also the thing that YouTube pushes, right, is minutes watched. Okay. So started with 950 at the week ending 10/29, 2018. 950. These are the projections, right? So I need about a 7.82% growth rate to get to 250,000 by the end of March 2020. This is projected, this is actual, and this is how it continued. This is the growth rate week over week right? 20, like these numbers, look at these numbers. These are crazy double-digit growth rate. And then remember when we come back over here, it flattened out here. Where was it? Here it flattened out. You can see from like mid-January. Okay, so this is where we went from, we went up to 18,000, then we dropped, and then we dropped, and then we dropped again, then we went up a little bit, then we dropped, and then we dropped, and then this past week we just went up, so we broke that barrier, biggest ever, 18,000, and we did 18.8. Now, what this represents, right, this is what I needed to hit, this is what I actually hit, so I'm actually on track, if you come down here, to hit the numbers for the beginning of August, or very closely, end of July, beginning of August with this. So it's 11% growth rate on that number right here, 16,899. So I knew the path wasn't going to be continually up like that, and I knew there was going to be flat periods. So hopefully this is a start of another growth period where it's been about 2 months of just stagnation, and I'm going to keep you guys posted on the progress. I made my first $50 online, so 4 months to make $50, and I'm going to see if I can shorten that time frame, compress that time frame drastically to get to the next $50. If you want to check that video out, it's on the channel already. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the impressions. The impressions, right? So you have your impressions, like the number of times somebody sees something, then you have the click through, the percentage of people who see your thumbnail or whatever the case is, and click through to actually watch your content. And if you look at January, my total number of impressions was almost 400,000, right? Now, the total number in the month of February was 360,000. So we're only 2 days into this month, but we're on track, at like 14,000 roughly per day. So if I was thinking a little bit more about that, and obviously at the current growth rate, it should be even higher for the month of March. But what can I do to help increase that? So for the month of January, February, I wasn't super consistent about sharing content on other social platforms, a little bit, but there wasn't any strategy. There wasn't any consistency to it. It was doing it maybe like once a week or something like that. So now I'm in the formulation phase of a plan to continually have something set up so that I can share to create native content for other platforms. And Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and LinkedIn and Twitter and Medium, just to help drive a little bit back, because I feel as though the YouTube SEO driving just a little bit of traffic from external links increases the SEO drastically ranking. So if that doesn't make any sense, you should Google some of that stuff if you find it interesting, or ask me down below in the comments. I will answer your questions. And working on the thumbnails. Thumbnails is not something that I've been doing a lot of work in. So the thumbnails and the social sharing, I'm going to be working on. Also, if you found this video interesting, or if you know somebody else who's on this path, share this video with them. Like, hopefully it would help them out. If you found value and if you're watching to this point, then share this video with them. Helps me out, and hopefully it helps them out. If you think it will provide them value. Now, last thing I wanted to get into before I tell you to subscribe is the sheer quantity of videos, right? And I don't think that this is obviously a requirement for everybody. There's tons and tons of successful channels on YouTube that put out far less content. I just feel that you can increase the number of at-bats, right? And remember, these are not like super high quality from a production standpoint. Again, depends on how you define quality, right? Is it the actual content, the articulation of the idea through video, or is it, you don't have all these cool edits where, like, fucking lightning comes in here and it's like, oh, this is cool, and all this slow-mo shit. Like, so it depends on what you consider high quality content. But with that being said, check this out. So this, right, is a representation on a monthly basis of the total number of minutes watched, right? So the month of October had 4,500 minutes watched. By the way, 4,500 minutes watched, I do that in 2 days or less. So that's absolutely amazing for the entire month of October. And then obviously this is going up. What this orange bar represents is the total number of videos published. So this is 114 in November. This is 130 in December, 131 in January. February, I had a big drop off. And I went on vacation for about 9 days in the month of February. And I wasn't consistent as making the content. There was also a drop off in the total number of the watch time decreased in February. But if you actually dig into the numbers on the watch time on a daily basis, the average watch time was actually higher in February than it was in January. Appreciate you guys so much. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. Lastly, jump over to Instagram and say what's up. There's a link for Instagram in the description. Give me your predictions on how long you think it will take me to get to the next, right? So I made $51 so far online in 4 months. How long do you think it will take me to make the next $51? I think I'm going to do a video on that too, but I would love to hear your predictions down below in the comments. Appreciate you guys. Peace.